Welcome everybody, I'm Ross Quintana, and today we're going to be talking about growth over accomplishment. And I'm live streaming this on Facebook Live, and I'm actually testing a few things out. So we're going to live stream this, plus we're recording this for an upcoming blog post that I'm writing on this subject. So anyway, let's dig right into it. The concept here, and if you caught my earlier anchor talking about the case study of Barnum and Bailey that announced that they were closing after 146 years, the circuit business, the circus business, real-time editing. Then what you'll see is that they had a big problem with relevance. And in my opinion, they're a casualty of relevance. So if we take a look at this, the way this is playing out, one of the things that we look at is there's a lot of movement in the business digital transformation in that business world. And we also take a look at, we start with success, because the idea, the old way of thinking about success was that I have to accomplish all of these things. That when I get used to be the six-figure income, now the six-figure income, boy, you better go double or triple six-figure if you want to be a success now, thanks to inflation. It was getting the car, the big house. For a business, it was generating revenue, or a startup, it was getting your first million users, or whatever it is. The fact is all of these things, the way we've thought about success is that we've tied it to accomplishments. And it makes sense, right? Because that's how you measure things. But there's a bit of a flaw in this type of thinking, because the future is going to be owned by the growth mindset. The future is not going to be owned, in my opinion, by this concept of accomplishments. And the reason why is because that system, it's too slow. Right? If you boil it down and you look at accomplishments, what does it do? An accomplishment is either something that you did in the past, right? Those are your past accomplishments. Or it's something, right, when we plan and we set a goal and we put something out into the future, then we're looking to accomplish something in the future, something we haven't attained yet, right? And for most people, all of their accomplishment, which also means all of their success, is tied into those two spaces. One is things they've already done, and the other is in things they want to do. The problem is that alleviates one key important point, and that's right now. That's the present. And that creates a real problem because, number one, and I've talked about this before, your happiness is in the future. Or look how before you wanted to accomplish this, but the second you accomplish it, it's gone, right? It's no longer anything, you can brag about what you did in high school, but nobody cares, right? It's past accomplishments. These big companies, right? Barnum and Bailey, they could say, hey, we were the greatest show on earth. Yeah, but that's what you were. That's not what you are. And they became a casualty of change. And they became irrelevant in the current market. And because they put all of their eggs in that basket, and they decided, just like Kodak, who said, we're a film company, instead of we're a capturing moments company. Had they understood that aspect, they'd still be in business. Same way, if they understood, if Barnum and Bailey understood that they were in the family entertainment industry, they might still be here. But instead, they thought they were in the circus industry. And when all of a sudden the circus industry is no longer relevant, then your business is no longer relevant because you tied it to a product instead of focusing on your customer. And that's something for a whole other topic and talk right there about that. But here's the reason why accomplishments lose relevance. Because the world is moving. Anytime, relevance is really about the real time, right? It's about the now. And whether you have a product or a business, or whether you're an employee, oh, Ned used to be the best top salesman. Now Ned's 65, and things have changed in the market, and he doesn't want to use a cell phone. Ned's no longer the top salesman. It doesn't matter what he accomplished before, because his environment changed, and that meant that his context changed. And things are shifting quickly. Right now, being current, right? It reminds me of resumes. Like, I still I have all my projects, and then I have clients that I work for, some personal clients. Other times I'll work for an agency and I might be taking care of their clients. And so it's always weird for me when for the past 2 decades, I haven't really been an employee of somebody. And so whenever I go to do something new and I have to fill out a resume, it's weird to me because it's kind of like, resume, I'm right here. Right? I can go talk to somebody and tell them. But I get it. There's an old process, and it's an old way of sorting, and it's old school business where we want a resume. We want a cover letter. We want to see what you did, right, in the past. But I'm going to tell you right now that people's resume, I don't want to know what you did 10 years ago. Because number one, if you're growing and you're adaptive, those are old things that you've done, right? And more importantly, what have you done recently? What's your near future resume? What are you doing right now? Because what you did 5 years ago may not even be relevant. And as a matter of fact, if you're stuck in the past, and this is the problem with HR, many people in HR, their heads are, right? Because they've got the wrong system. They're stuck in the past too. They want to see what your last 10-year history is. Who cares what happened 10 years ago? You think that's relevant in a lot of businesses? No, they got to be thinking further ahead. What's going on now? What's going on in the next 5 years and the next 10 years? They need to think forward in their resume. So the idea of don't tell me with your resume. Don't tell me what you did. What can you do? How adaptive are you? Experience is great, but there's people like me. I can pick up something. You want to tell me, hey, go out there. We've got this business. It's XYZ. I don't care what it is. I can learn it, master it, bam, like that. You need somebody who's brilliant, who can jump in and be a game changer and add value. I might be the guy. Does that show up on my resume? Can I tell you about the things I haven't done yet? Can I tell you about the capability that I have and the ability and adaptability that I have to do 100 different things I've never done quickly with high level of expertise? Where do you write that on a resume? You don't. But this is the type of thinking. It's old school thinking versus new school thinking. And we got to understand that in business. So here's the deal. Living with that past thinking, right, is part of how you lose relevance. When you want to hold on to those old accomplishments. Businesses are doing this. Oh, you were the top food, blah, blah, blah. Or you were, hey, we had the best, #1 taxi business, in the city. So what? Then Uber came along, and none of your past accomplishments matter. As a matter of fact, if your mind's settling back on what you've done in the past, forget about it. You're already becoming irrelevant at that point, and that's hard for people to grasp. Because before, that was our currency. That was everything we built up. Oh, I built up this resume. Look, I worked for this company for 10 years, and look at all these things that we did, and all that. And it's like, no. What are you doing that's current right now that's relevant? And more importantly, what can you do? If I put you into a situation, can you hit the floor and make it something special real fast and bring your talent and your ability? That's what's important. So we got to get out of this accomplishment thinking, because I think it's dinosaur thinking. I think that a lot of businesses are still setting on, oh, we got this one good product that we made. So what? Anybody can lose relevance. Apple could lose relevance. People don't think that this can happen, but I'm telling you that it can. If you want to say, oh, but we made the iPod, that's a history lesson. We're talking about now, and we're talking about the future. And you've got to reinvent yourself and come and be relevant now. Don't tell me about how relevant you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago or what your stock prices were. No one's going to care, because the money and the currency is getting faster, right? And this is what we talk about when we talk about growth creates a full spectrum experience. Here's the difference between growth, and this is what I'm going to leave you with. When you have a growth mindset, what ends up happening is you have the experience from your past. That's included in your growth, because you're going to rely on that to take care of what's right now, to execute right now, to be amazing right now, to be the difference maker right now. You are an accumulation of your past. So if you're focused in the right now instead of on your past accomplishments or accomplishments you haven't done, if you're focused on what you're doing right now, number one, you're going to utilize everything from the past. Number two, if you're growing now, that naturally is going to prepare you for the future. If you're growing now and adaptable now and learning new things now, then you're not staying with the past. Because the past, it's passing away, literally. You can either be on that train or you can stay with the present. And I think having a growth mindset and staying with the present is what's going to help take you into the future. It's going to keep you on that front edge, that cutting edge of what's happening now, and you'll be able to see the near future. And that's the only future that you absolutely need to understand. I mean, with the way things are changing and everything, you don't need to be really far out into the future, you know, with the exception of some companies who want to really position themselves. But the fact is as individuals, we need to be on the cutting edge of today, seeing tomorrow as it's coming through. So I hope you were challenged by this. The blog is going to break down some more stuff and dig in there. And if you like this, slam a share on that and leave your comment. I'd love to see what you have to say about it. And I hope it just kind of changed your point of view in how you think about accomplishments, and that you don't make accomplishments your measuring stick, because it's really got a big gap, a gap that needs to be in the present so that you can utilize the past and really be prepared for the future. So, bam.